Hello and welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is August 27, 2026. Okay, charts look okay today. Still in an upper trajectory for Ethereum here. It's definitely pushing along this line here for the past few days. Obviously wanted to break out. I did see someone, I don't want to do it right now. I did see someone show the Bitcoin versus the 50 moving day average today, and it's like right there. So if we can break through that, maybe we're going to Valhalla. I don't know. Yeah. So ETH is looking okay. Gold is looking okay. Where's my gold? Gold. Yeah, gold is still up in there. What else do we have here? Bitcoin, Sonic is down 5%, but it's still like up, on the week. Hype is up another 3%, getting close to the top of my range. I don't know what to do about this. It's all-time high for hype right now. Let's moving. I've got some like just staked hype that I can just long-term hodl. So I if it goes out of the top of this range, then I'll have to think of what I want to do with that capital. I'm farming this on Ramses right now on Hyperliquid, so I want to keep farming RAM. So I'm gonna have to definitely find somewhere to put this capital if it goes through the top of this. Let's take a look at the stonks. Okay, so S&P recovered a little bit. I probably should have jumped into that position. Meta is doing okay here. Google, I'm down on my Google position, but that's a long-term one. Like stonks aren't, you're not supposed to flip these every day. Well, you could, but that's not what I'm thinking. Tesla's doing okay. What is SpaceX looking like? I wish I would have bought down here in the bottom. I was thinking about it too when it was down there, but anyhow. AMD looking okay. It's such a strange one with AI. You think AMD would just be only up, but this is a nice bouncing around range in here. I like this. And yeah, so that's it for the chart and my liquidity positions here on. So I'm doing liquidity on both Ramses on Robinhood chain, as well as I'm using Beefy on base for some base stocks, but it's not concentrated liquidity ranges on base. I'm just using Beefy and letting them manage the liquidity range because they've got a pretty nice juicy boost. I'll have a tweet about it and I'll show you. So let's move over to the tweet, and as always, these are not financial advice. You make your own decisions, you decide what you want to do with your money, and you accept the consequences of bad decisions that you make. Okay, so let's move on to my first tweet. So I tweeted this yesterday. You're going to see a lot of stuff on the timeline about stocks and my shit's better than everyone else's, and all of these weird charts of like, look at how much happened today with us, or this week, or this thing that I own tokens in, check how cool it is, rah, rah, rah. And everybody does it, okay? Like, of course, I talk about things where I have money and I want my juice to continue, in the sense I want that token to be worth more. I've got investments in products that I obviously talk about. Now I invest in products because I think the logic is there. The team has good morals and a good logical design. So anyhow, I tweeted this out. I did a little bit of research, and I found that it's quite clear who's winning the tokenized stock game right now, and it's Ondo, and then X stocks, and then Binance stocks, or B stocks, whatever. I'm pretty sure there's Binance. Yeah, B stocks. I think it's on Binance. Let me see. Yeah, Binance stocks, right? So it's pretty clear who's winning, right? But you'll see some of these smaller pie charts, they'll be quite loud, or community members will be like, hey, look what happened today. And they'll show you a chart of them versus other of these tiny slices of the pie, which is fine. I'm happy for them, in the sense that I'm happy that they are winning, or that they're maybe not winning, but they're gaining traction, and we're all gaining traction. At first, I was always against kind of tokenized stocks, because it was like, they're not really the stocks. Like these companies should just issue tokens. Tokens are better than stocks, in my opinion. So why are we playing the stock game? However, people are used to the stocks, investors are used to the stocks, funds buy stocks, and we can play this game, and we have some benefits. Yesterday I said, like, we by tokenized stocks allow us to front run the front runners. And what that means is that there's the ability, the institutions have the ability to buy and sell 1 hour before everyone else in the public on the stock exchange, on like New York Stock Exchange and stuff like this. But now that they're tokenized, we can front run them. We can make positions. We can bet on what we think they're going to do during pre-market. And when they do it during pre-market on the New York Stock Exchange, then our tokenized stocks will get arbed up to or down to the value that the effect that they have. So yeah, check it out. You can check this out. But like the idea of this is, like, when you see a chart, don't just go out and buy the token. Do a little bit of wider looking. Look at the bigger picture to make sure you understand what's going on. So beefy tokenized stocks. They teamed up with Merkle. They're boosting them on base. These are pretty juicy APRs, I think, guys. Yeah, that's that. Okay. Moving on, here we have Coinbase. Coinbase CBTC is expanding to Robinhood chain. So this is pretty cool. Coinbase and Robinhood are kind of like fighting right now for these tokenized stocks, right? There's tokenized stocks on Base. There's tokenized stocks on Robinhood chain, and they're kind of competitors, right? Well, they're competitors, right? They should be at each other's throat. But then we see something like this where it's like, yeah, let's send Coinbase BTC over to Robinhood chain and get some liquidity there and some more juice. And it's kind of nice. Now, it could be a Trojan horse, right? Like now all the Robinhood chain users will be like, what's this CBBTC? And then they might like go, oh, Base is cool, and jump ship and go to Base, right? But you see, I think it's pretty good, and it's being sent over via Chainlink bridge. So check that out. This is kind of what I'm thinking about that, and I think it's pretty cool. Now, like, of course, it could be corporate espionage, but anyhow, moving on. So here's Matt V from Sonic, the CEO of Sonic. I like this guy a lot. I've talked to him a few times. I like him. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's got a proper business mindset for Sonic, and I think he can fix it. So there's a sentence here that he says in this talk. He says, if you can't be first, you've got to be better. And there's a lot of things about Sonic that are better. Like, I don't have a huge list off the top of my head, but like even something so simple like, well, it's not simple, but something so obviously good, like fee monetization. So 90% of the gas fees are given back to the apps that get users to spend that gas. Like, no other chain's doing this, and it's so obviously good. And it's just, I don't know, man. So like teams are like always like, yeah, can we get a grant? Can we get a grant? Can we get a grant? Yeah, you go to Sonic and you get a grant automatically every single time. You bring users, you get users to use your shit, you have good stuff, and people use it, then you'll get an ongoing stipend, right? So it's just so good. Anyhow, moving on. So yesterday, Gabriel Haynes tipped me on Tip Motion. I don't know what this is. I haven't like looked at it. As you can see, I've got things open, and I'm gonna do some research on it. Read the docs and stuff like that, understand it. But so he tipped me, and then I went there and I kind of like clicked. I did a quick check, and then I pressed the register button, and then it says you're registered. You wait until the team kind of checks things for you. And then I got a DM from them, Tip Motion, saying, hey, we saw you tip. They shielded me a little bit on it. And then he's like, okay, I said, I clicked the button and I'm waiting. And he's like, let me check it. And he's like, you passed the scan, blah, 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 blah. You are in the system now, cleanest profile yet. You qualify for becoming a tip allocator too. Our first auto qualify, LFG. So, I'm happy with that. That makes me feel good that I have a good reputation, or AI looks at me and says this guy is good. He's not a scammer. He's a good guy. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I will check a little bit deeper on tip motion, and then maybe you might see me tipping some people. Okay, the ceiling was too low. What's going on here? So CEO, Super State Incorporated CEO Robert Leshier. He's like basically the old Compound CEO on why he left to grow DeFi addresses by 1,000. So he left Compound and now he's working with this Super State, which I haven't looked at all. But he's like, when trillions of protocols like Frax, Aave, Sky, Compound, and Arrow are re-rate. So these are OG protocols that have proven market fit. They have huge footprints in crypto. And especially, I really like Frax. I'm really happy to see Frax is added into his list of things that are huge. Like, of all of these protocols, Frax definitely has the biggest footprint of all of them. Like, Arrow's obviously super hyped up. Aave is like that risk-free rate type thing. Like, people just use Aave, right? Sky is pretty huge and everywhere as well. But Frax just has their fingers in all the pies, right? And as well as their own they're baking their own pies. So I really like it. The only thing I don't like about this Frax coin is it's difficult to use to get yield on. You can't just stake it and get yield, whereas like I think a lot of these other ones you can. Moving on, so we have Scruples, Scoopy Scruples, sockpuppet.eth, Alchemix self-repaying home. So yesterday, Coinbase tweeted out that you can use BTC to collateralize a mortgage and get a house. I talked about it yesterday, and Uncle's like, "Hey, well, why not use staked ETH to back mortgages? Then you wouldn't even have to do a monthly payment. You could just use your yield to pay your monthly payments, and then you just get a free house, basically." Well, your ETH is now locked into the collateralization of that house. However, you don't. If you didn't have monthly payments, that'd be sweet, right? I don't know how much ETH you would need, but I don't know. You might need to over collateralize on that. But anyways, like that's pretty cool. And then Scooby's like, well, what about Alchemix, using Alchemix to get a self-repaying home? So yeah, if you use Alchemix, then you can take a loan versus your assets on Alchemix, and it will repay by itself. The yield of your assets repays your loan. So you don't have to do anything. You just leave it there. It's just like free house, and you're repaying it. Anyhow, so yeah, check that out. Check out Alchemix. Check out Uncle here, and so forth. Moving on. So Llama on the Brink, Millie. He's talking about what Woz says. So Woz says it's insane that the biggest on-chain trading app in crypto doesn't have limit orders. And he's talking about, we needed limit orders at Truio, so we built our own hook to do limit orders, right? And Uniswap wouldn't even give them a grant for an audit. They had to get it audited themselves. So yeah, it's a weird one. Like I understand, like Uniswap should have limit orders. I think the best place to do limit orders is Carbon DeFi. It's so good because you can do range order limit orders. But it's a difficult task because it needs to be executed at different times, but you can on Carbon, you say, I want to sell this for this price. When it sits there waiting, and anybody who wants it can take it, right? Whereas most limit orders are like, you need a keeper to when the price hits something, the keeper executes it. But order flow can execute it as well if those limit orders are in the options for order flow, or people executing trades, or DEX aggregators. They understand that those limit orders are there, so it doesn't even require keepers if you just set it up properly. But they didn't do it. They haven't done it, and instead I don't know what they're doing about that. Moving on. So the Liquidity ETH carry vault is now full. So the iPoor ETH carry vault is full. No, you don't need to do anything. But they will raise the cap soon, probably. So yeah, just keep going, boys. Just more and more ETH. I like this vault because it's got good juice on ETH, and will it last forever? Is it 100% sustainable? I don't know. I can't really, well, I can think about it and probably say probably not, but 7% on ETH with very little exposure to crazy shit, it's just a no-brainer. I just keep putting ETH in every time the caps are raised. Moving on. So today, this is the last tweet. I was talking to the Chads at Yearn about Flex Meow, and they've got this Y bold USDC looping market, and I was a little bit worried because it's like bold USDC, you gotta swap through these tokens, and I'm a little bit worried because sometimes bold is above peg and you're gonna have swap back and forth. And here's my question was about swapping in and out. So there are a good amount of redemptions until the market finds the acceptable borrow rate. So if you don't know how Flex Meow works, you can watch my video, read the docs, that kind of stuff. But basically, you choose your rate, and if you choose a low rate and someone's willing to pay more rate, then you get redeemed. So your debt gets paid off, your collateral gets returned to you. Well, you got to go and claim it back, right? And you're no longer looped up, and your debt is now their debt, right? So I was worried about that process, swapping my assets back to nothingness, and then swapping them back to lever up this new guys. And he's like, no, we just adjust the eternal accounting. So that means no tokens move anywhere. They just your debt now becomes my debt because I redeemed you. And there's no tokens moving at all. So there's no swapping, there's no trading fees, there's no price impact. It's just your debt is now my debt. So with that, sweet. That's it for today. I hope this is interesting and useful, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.